Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Today's first story is about a bride-to-be who took my special day to a whole new level. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Future sister-in-law showed her true colors when Grandma's birthday interfered with her day. My older brother's getting married to his partner on July 20th, the date that they agreed on in January and shared with the family. July 21st is our grandma's 80th birthday. She comes from a line of women where none of them live past the age of 80, so it's a big deal for her, and she announced last year that she wanted to go all out with a weekend-long celebration. When my brother announced his wedding date, she was the first one to react with kindness, considering he forgot all about her 80th birthday plans when deciding upon the wedding date. They'd made several down payments before announcing, so there was no point in asking them to move the wedding a week before or later for Grandma, and Grandma wouldn't allow it. She ultimately decided to have a relaxing, low-key Sunday dinner because my brother and his fiancé also wanted to have a post-wedding brunch that day for relatives and the bridal party. My mom and I got to talking, and we thought it'd be super fun if at midnight us grandkids could surprise Grandma with a cake and have the band play her favorite song so we could share a dance with her. It seemed like a fun way to include such an important milestone into the celebratory weekend since she was giving up her big birthday bash in favor of the wedding. I called my brother immediately to share the idea with him, and he loved it. He even came up with the idea to make the cake England-themed because Mom and I are taking her to England in September as our gift. It's a lifelong dream of hers to go. That is, he loved it until he didn't, meaning until he spoke with his fiancé. He called to say the cake deal for Gran was off, and that same night I received a text from his fiancé telling me that I should have checked with her first if she would be okay with it, and how I was being insensitive, rude, and selfish for meddling with her special day. Yes, her special day. Not my brother's special day or their special day. Her special day. She really seems like a good person, and we get along well despite not being super close, but it seemed logical to me to contact my brother since it's also his wedding and it's his grandma, not hers. I responded back by saying it was my brother's special day as well and how he was initially thrilled by the idea. I also told her I didn't appreciate her accusing me of meddling since both Mom and I have fully respected the fact that she planned the entire wedding with her mom, leaving us out of the loop, despite my parents paying for a portion of the wedding. My mom was bummed about being fully excluded, even though all she would have wanted was to know how everything was going. The wedding reception scheduled to end at 2 a.m., and by midnight, she'll already have been the center of attention. It's not like someone's going to jump out of her wedding cake and propose to another person. My text was met with a phone call from my brother, who basically told me the conversation's over as I've overstepped my boundaries. Making a good faith suggestion's pretty much always okay, and this was a very good suggestion. But the thing is, it was a suggestion. It's for both the bride and groom to make the decision together, and no matter how much the groom liked the idea when he first heard it, when he and his bride discussed it, their decision was no. You need to accept that. And our second story. Karen freaked out over my friend parking on her street. So a little background for you. Where I live, the rule's pretty clear. If you don't have a driveway, you park on the street in front of your house. No problem. It's a public road, right? No one owns the street in front of their property. It's just a place to park. But of course, we have that neighbor. Let's call her Karen. Karen's been around for a while, late 70s, maybe early 80s, always walking around with a my way or the highway attitude. The problem, she's convinced she owns the entire street that runs in front of her house. Not just the bit in front of her property. No. She believes the whole street belongs to her and only her. So you can probably imagine how well that goes over with anyone who doesn't share her delusions. Now, last night I had a friend come over for a visit. She parked in front of Karen's house because, well, both me and my boyfriend were parked in front of our own house, and the street isn't exactly packed with cars. No big deal, right? Wrong. Karen didn't like it. She wasn't even home, but she thinks she has the right to dictate who parks there. So today, my boyfriend comes in all wide-eyed asking me what color car my friend drives. Apparently, Karen's asking everyone walking by if they know who owns the car. She's grilling people on the sidewalk, trying to figure out who the heck parked there. Honestly, it was hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. I've been living here for almost 2 years now, and I've learned not to engage too much with the neighbors. We say the polite hello and how are you when necessary, but we mostly keep to ourselves. It's not that we're rude, it's just that, frankly, I have a life to live, and Karen and her husband, they're way older than us, and they've clearly got too much time on their hands to police public parking. So here's the kicker. Karen's out there being the parking police, but I'm not going to take it lying down. I'm not trying to start an argument, but I'm also not going to back down from a ridiculous entitled request like that. If she comes to me asking who parked in front of her house, I'm just going to be honest. Oh, that's my friend. I invited her over for a visit, and then I'll walk away. No apologies, no explanations. If Karen doesn't like it, she can go ahead and build herself a damn driveway. But in the meantime, I'm going to park wherever the heck I want on a public road, and so will everyone else. If she thinks she owns the street, she's in for a wake-up call. And no, I'm not enabling her or feeding into her delusion. She's just going to have to deal with it. Let her call the cops. Let her complain to anyone who'll listen, because in the end, the street's still public, and she doesn't get to control it. Oof, I felt that one. Karen's out here acting like she's the HOA president of the public road. Love how she's trying to Sherlock Holmes her way into identifying the mysterious car that dared sully her royal curb like she's solving a true crime podcast. Ma'am, it's a street, not a private runway. And our last story. Karen said no privacy fence, then built one on our land. When we first moved in, we were all about making the property feel like home. The overgrowth between us and the neighbor's house was a literal jungle, 20-plus years of weeds, poison ivy, and who knows what else. We offered to split the cost of clearing it because we figured it'd benefit both of us. We didn't want the mess lingering between our homes, and she agreed. Well, sort of. She claimed she couldn't afford her half, so we offered to cover 75% of the cost, which would be about $1,000 for us. She agreed to that too, which seemed fine at the time. We spent a few weeks clearing the jungle, and by the time we were done, we found an old, rusty, dilapidated wire fence that ran along the property line. It was falling apart, hanging over the property line like it had been abandoned for decades. We figured that was probably why the previous owners never bothered with any kind of boundary and decided it would be a good idea to replace it. So we asked her again, this time about removing the old fence and putting up a new one. At first, she seemed agreeable. Sure, just don't make it a privacy fence, she said. It makes my backyard feel closed in. We agreed. We were planning to install an open fence anyway, using galvanized cattle fencing to keep it light and airy. We also discovered that there were 2 enormous stumps right on her side of the property line, which meant we couldn't build directly on the line, so we built the fence about 6 inches onto our property. It took about a month to build the fence ourselves, long weekends, sweat, a few disagreements, and a sense of pride as the structure slowly took shape. We paid for everything, 100%, no asking for help from her. All she had to do was let us build it and keep it fair. Every now and then we'd hear her comment from across the fence, "Looks good," or "It's coming together nicely." Even our neighbors gave us compliments on it, so we were feeling good about the progress. Then, out of nowhere, things took a turn. Once the fence was finished, Karen, who we'd previously been on somewhat cordial terms with, started sending letters. It started small with complaints about the slight slope of the property, which really wasn't that big of a deal. What if my grandson falls down the slope when he visits, she worried. Her grandson visits once a year for a couple of days, but sure, let's worry about that. She also started fretting about her dog getting out that she didn't even have at the time. She claimed it was a safety hazard, even though she didn't even have a dog, let alone one that could escape a fence. Then came the real kicker. She decided to put rubble and garbage along her side of the fence, effectively blocking our ability to plant soil-stabilizing plants along the small slope like we'd planned. We politely asked her to remove it, but she ignored us. That's when it escalated. She called the county, reporting us for a permit violation. It was totally bogus. There was no violation, but we had to deal with the headache anyway. From that point on, she started a low-level harassment campaign. She'd put up signs in her yard ranging from passive-aggressive to downright bizarre. She'd throw weeds over our fence at least once a week, as if that would get us to cave. It didn't. Then she started parking her car really close to ours on the street. We couldn't even park in front of our own house without her deliberately parking in a spot so close we couldn't get out. Every time she passed by, she'd glare at us, but we didn't let her get to us. It got worse. Karen, completely unprovoked, started telling other neighbors that she thought we were drug dealers. Why? Because there were caregivers coming to our house regularly, as if having a terminally ill spouse was some sort of criminal activity. It was incredibly offensive. And honestly, just plain wrong. But Karen wasn't done yet. The final straw came when she decided to take matters into her own hands. She spent over a month grinding down the giant stump that had been sitting on her side of the line, something we'd offered to help with before, but no, she wanted to do it herself. After that, she built a massive privacy fence, putting it just barely over the property line. She didn't even bother to talk to us. She just went ahead and did it. At this point, we had enough. We called a lawyer. We knew the fence was technically on our property and we had all the documentation, but we weren't in the mood for another drawn-out legal battle. We sent her a letter explaining that the fence she built was on our land and needed to be removed. The best part, Karen had to take down the fence. We don't know if she got scared off by the legal warning or realized she couldn't keep pushing us around anymore. Either way, it took months, but she finally backed down. Karen ended up leaving the neighborhood shortly after. It wasn't a big dramatic move, but I think everyone in the neighborhood was relieved. Looking back, it wasn't about the fence or the property line. It was about the principle. Karen thought she could push us around because she thought we wouldn't fight back, but we did, and she lost. In the end, we ended up with the boundary respected, our privacy, and a lot less stress. Oh man, Karen really went on the full villain arc, didn't she? Started out with a, sure, that sounds good, then bam, she's throwing weeds like she got a vendetta against plants and accusing y'all of running a cartel because caregivers show up? What a leap from nice fence to Breaking Bad with a garden hose. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.